Hi, I'm Steve Sapato, your host on the Speaker Talks podcast for speakers, authors, entrepreneurs, and leaders who really want to change and upgrade their life. I'll tell you what, we always try and bring on people who can really make a difference. Today, I brought on Tina Marie St Cyr, and here's what I want you to know is she is the founder of Bonfire Coaching, right? And what we're going to be talking about that I hope you're going to stay tuned for is how to surround yourself with people who are going to make a difference in your life so that you can make a difference in other people's lives. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to let Tina introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her so that you can get a handle on how that's going to happen. Are you there, Tina?
I am. Thank you so much, Steve. It's so great to
Yeah,
be here.
my pleasure. And
Thank
go
you.
ahead now. Tell us. I gave a quick synopsis, but tell us more about what you do.
Oh, wonderful. So I've been a professional full-time my lifestyle coach since 2009. And that's a long time to gain some credibility and understanding of how the coaching industry works and what to do best. I launched an independent brand, Bonfire Coaching, in 2018. And that's so that I could hire new coaches, bring them on, train them in our methods, and really build a firm that spans the globe. So it's not just me as a solo coach, like most of us are in the world. It's actually an entire firm of coaches, and we love pulling ourselves around what the bonfire brings to our clients.
You know what? And that takes a lot of chutzpah, so to speak. And that's one of the things that we absolutely talk about is how do you make yourself better? How do you grow yourself? What changes you from who you are into who you want to be? Matter of fact, I've got an upcoming event called Achieve, and it's how to produce yourself. We've all gotten here because of what we've done in the past. You can blame other people, you can blame other things, but the fact is, all of our own decisions brought us to this point. So Tina is one of those people who can help us change from who we are into who we want to be. That's what we really want, right, Tina?
Exactly. We have two different sides of mind that I say. We have that lower mind that is the one that's always looking for certainty, trying to figure things out. If you've ever asked yourself, how can I figure this out? We're looking for the how first and foremost. We also have the lower mind is also going to look at what's not working as opposed to what is working. It's going to want us to be alone in our progress or in our pathway because we try to make sure that we've got it all figured out and we're not so vulnerable whenever we're around other people. And it's that lack of courage, lack of energy version of our mind. And then we have the other mind, Steve. We have the mind that is our higher mind. And I truly believe that we're all here, especially listening to your show, because we are those higher mind thinkers. We want to improve and grow. Now, in the higher mind, we don't see things as competition. Don't see anything as lacking. We know that there's potential, there's opportunity, there's that next level for each one of us. And together, we're stronger than we are independently. So that's exactly what I would love to share with your audience here and for us all to think through these questions of where am I holding myself back by coming from my lower mind and trying to figure things out, trying to find that certainty, or maybe try to go it alone until I figure it out. Then I'm not going to come out with the I don't know what I'm doing because that could be very vulnerable. And instead, lean into the who can I surround myself with that know the answers, that have been there before me, that can be that guiding light? And can I sit at their hem and learn so I can be more expeditiously serving my client base?
You know, that's a phenomenal thought process right there. If you guys aren't tuned into this effectively, stay tuned into this. This is phenomenal because I mean, we are on the same. She talks here, and I talk way down here. Just so you know, there's a difference. We're on the same mindset though, and mine is all about when we're afraid of being embarrassed. What are you afraid of, right? Being embarrassed is a growth problem. I'm usually the only person or one of the few people who raises their hand at it. People say, and I go, I have a question. And they go, oh, sure. And then I ask what might be obvious to somebody, a stupid question, of which people say there's no stupid questions, but people will make you feel stupid for having asked. And so I
Mm,
ask them anyway, even if I know the answers. I've had my coworkers say, Steve, how do you not know that? And I've always said, I know the answer, but I know there are other people who don't. And I'm willing to look stupid to help other people grow. That's what we're afraid of. We're so terrified in our lower mind. I love how you
mhm,
said that. In our lower mind, we're so afraid of looking or feeling or somebody saying this or seeing that. And if we're in
mhm,
our upper mind, I said something the other day. I'm on Facebook a lot, and but
mhm.
somebody I see something that somebody else posts and it always gives me a thought. So pardon my grammar here, but so I said, somebody called me an asshole the other day. And I looked at them and I went, okay, thanks. And I went on about my day. It doesn't matter what other people say about you. What do you think about you? And that's what it's
Exactly.
all about, isn't it, Tina?
It totally is. It's interesting. I love that. I have an analogy, or at least a small story in some of the teachings I give my clients and at events and from the stage, which I know you help people get to the stage, which is an awesome thing to do to give people that confidence. And I'll say, if somebody came up and they called you purple, if they say, wow, you're looking mighty purple today, we wouldn't have anything to resonate with that or attach to it. So that label bounces off of us. We may even lean into it going, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know what it
What?
means to be purple. I'm listening though, and the way you toned it, it sounds like it's a bad thing. And sometimes we infer the meaning of things based on people's body language, the tone, and the past that we've identified. And so what we want to do is look at any label, like you're saying, Steve, and see, does it resonate with us truly in our heart of hearts? And if it is challenging us, then that's a place where we need to grow. And if it does not identify with us, we simply bless the person and move on. Or they may have some feedback that we would find courage to listening to so that we can get their feedback, maybe not being called an asshole, but something that we could actually learn from. Like, I find you so irritable most of the time, or I find you hard to talk to. Well, that is something that we can learn from whenever we are curious about it instead of taking it personally. So these are all things that leaders do. And the people that are listening to your show, I know we gravitate to, how can I improve myself? The first thing there is for learn from myself. I had to become humble, very humble. And, I know less than I ever think I know. And the good thing there is that I can grow and I can open myself up to other people's thoughts and see what resonates for my growth path. One of my Buddhist mentors, his name's Alok. I love him. He said, "We are more not knowing than we are knowing." And he said, "That will be true till the end of your days." And so it gave me a bit of relaxation. There's no perfect. There's no, wow, I'm going to be the most brilliant person in the room. What if we aim to be the least brilliant person in the room and we surround ourselves with more brilliance and more capacity and more opportunity so that we can be part of that cohort? I'm signing up for that one.
That's really curious because when we talk about masterminds, it's funny to me how different groups think of masterminds differently. A mastermind is a group of people who get together to help each other. So they shouldn't be more than 6, maybe 10 people in a mastermind, if that.
Right.
And you meet monthly to help each other in your business, maybe in your personal life, depending on how you put your mastermind together. But a lot of people say, well, I'm in a mastermind with 40 or 50 people. I go, then it's not a mastermind
That's a
because you
networking
can't.
group.
That's right. It's networking, and that is right there when people, because the one thing you said, I know less than I think I know, and of course, when your mentor said we are not knowing more than we are knowing,
Mhm,
that's so critical that we start to understand that. I can argue a point. I love arguing.
mhm.
Debating, some people might say I argue, right? I'm very
Yeah.
sarcastic in what I do. And that was another thing that I had to learn along the way, that people don't always like my sarcasm. So people would be real irritated. I don't like that Steve Sapato guy, because I am a very sarcastic. So I had to learn who to be sarcastic with and who not to. But it
Right.
was also a growth place where once you learn that, what, I don't know, and it's okay to ask what I don't know, even if other people know it all. Like you say, I'm the bottom of the rung in this group, and somebody says this, and I go, I don't. I tell the story. I was a real estate appraiser in one of my many careers over my lifetime, and
Mhm,
there were 1,000 appraisers at this one event in Nashville, Tennessee, and we're all sitting there, and this one guy keeps saying this acronym. I'll say, like TSR or whatever it might have been saying. And I
mhm.
looked at the people next to me who are all appraisers. I've been appraising 15 years by that time, and I'm looking
Right.
at them. Nobody knew what that guy would.
What
I
a
said, "What does
TSR
that
is?
stand for?" Yeah, and
That's
so I
funny.
raised my hand, and the guy, in his own wisdom, his own, snottiness, said, "Can you hold all questions till the end?" And I'm like, "No." And I left my hand up. Now, there's 1,000 appraisers, and
Yeah.
nobody around us had any answers. So I said, "Well, I'll find out."
Right. Uh-huh.
And I left my hand up, and he said, "Sir, can you wait until I am done speaking to ask your questions?" And I went, "No."
Right.
And I stood up finally and said, "No, I can't." He said, "Why is that?" I went, "Because I don't know what you're talking about when you use that term." And the whole crowd went, "Yeah." You know,
It's a
you heard him say
disconnect. You can't
behind.
keep speaking through a disconnect.
That's right.
You've
And so,
lost your audience.
but I was not afraid of looking stupid, even though none of the appraisers around me were willing to risk looking stupid to ask the question. But it turned out that none of us knew what he was saying. But
That's so
that's what we
funny.
have to be willing to risk. And that's what Tina can coach you into being so good that you'll just be amazed at how much better you are this year than you were last year, right, Tina?
Yeah, Steve, it's great you mentioned the word mastermind because I picked up a book and sorry I dropped it while we were talking.
Oh,
A book from my shelf behind me, Think and Grow Rich. So this is a book that my father gave me at the age of 12. And
not the original, because that looks like a new copy.
this is a new copy. Yeah, you
Oh,
won't
all
find
right.
all my vintage ones. No, my vintage ones are locked up safe. So what Napoleon Hill defines a mastermind. He says the mastermind is defined as the coordination and knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. So it's that we gather together for each other's up leveling, right? And then another place in here which I wasn't able to find very directly is that whenever two or more people are gathered in the presence of the want to improve ourselves, there is an inherent third energy, a third intelligence that we're summoning our two minds together with that intent brings into it what many of us would call maybe intuition or a higher power or higher thinking, a higher consciousness, because we avail ourselves like magnetic units to hear that and be open and willing to move in its direction. So when we surround ourselves with people that know this principle or at least want to know it more intimately, we avail ourselves to answers and solutions and potentials that we wouldn't have otherwise been able to think of on our own. And that's brilliant. I was told I read that Elon Musk in his meetings that he's silent more than he's vocal. He has this awkward silence, and his cohort or his managers, his directors, his VPs, his executives around him have now grown not only accustomed to the silence and the awkwardness there in that moment, yet they realize that in being in this presence of not knowing and being in this presence of let's avail ourselves to something that also is working with us toward the solution of this that we don't have the capacity for at this time, then they've realized their genius. They're each going, wow, Elon Musk literally sits in meetings when there's posed a problem or challenge or an issue, and he sits in silence. And the first 30 seconds, they say, is the most awkward.
Oh,
Some
I
of these
bet.
people have been entered like,
Well,
they
because
asked them a question.
we're used to people talking and maybe not even knowing what they're talking about. When you said that,
Yeah.
there's a couple things in there,
Mhm.
and that's exactly it. I was just reading a leadership book, and it said a great leader never speaks until everyone at the table has spoken. And I'm reading that, going, "What does that mean?" And they went, "As soon as I, as the leader, say, 'This is what I think,'
Mhm.
right? Now
Mhm.
tell me what you think." Well, who's going to disagree with the boss, right? Maybe a couple people, but most of us are like, no, that's good enough for me. And we've literally shut
True.
down the ability to generate ideas or thoughts or whatever we're looking for there.
Mhm.
And what you said was exactly true. When we work alone, we have our own knowledge.
Mhm.
If Tina Marie and I were to sit together, we would not only have each other's knowledge, but she's right. Somehow we draw in even more power and knowledge into our area. And I wish I could tell you how it works also, but it's phenomenal how
Mhm.
collaboration brings so much more than just the one, two, or three people that you might be collaborating with.
Exactly. And in a time right now that we find ourselves working from home and we're distanced from our cohort, maybe we're in the comfort of our own home and we're connecting through Zoom or phone call or even text or emails, we're not in proximity of each other. And this mastermind principle works in proximity. So that's been a stretch, right?
Yeah.
Early on in the pandemic back in 2020, in April, I was utilized by one of my clients in New York City. They're one of the first cities to go into shutdown. And the director there said, I'm having a hard time. He had about 60 people that worked with and for him. And some are distributed across the globe, but the majority of them were right there in NYC. And so he said, we went from being a cohort that could see each other every day, that could walk into each other's cubes or offices and think through things. And now we are limited by this electronic means of connection. And many people in their introvertness, because it's a technology company and many people that work in technology companies are introverts, they would keep their video monitor off. And all you would see is either their first name or initials, and sometimes a superhero figure or something that was
Yeah,
their,
yeah.
their avatar. And so he said, I don't feel like I can connect with anybody. Can you please help? And so I shared with them this need of the mastermind, that we left to our own devices, just like you said, Steve, we are a limited being, that we are inherently designed this way. Thank goodness that way we need each other. And then the other thing is that he said, can you call them out so that we can actually connect? So I gave them a challenge that they would need to all go. So the Zoom meeting that we're hosting this particular morning, I said, go dress up as either
Oh,
one of your favorite characters or something that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to do whenever you come to work. You could wear PJs if you want to, or you could wear gym clothes, or you could wear a funky hat or something. But come to the table, turn on your monitor, and let's discuss what you chose and why you chose it, because there's meaning behind our choices. And that engaged everybody in this fun, more frivolous appearance, so that they can get used to being on camera. And then they realized, because I gave them some harder questions, let's think through some of these things. And they started to engage. They started to speak to each other. They didn't speak over each other. They had respect and honor, and it just started to come forward. What broke the ice? What broke the ice was not taking ourselves so damn seriously,
yeah, that's right.
right?
And
And the next thing that broke the ice is that we all need to contribute and help each other solve, and that we believe that everybody had a valid answer and contribution, and we called on each other's to get their viewpoints, not to be the be all end all of the solution, to be a piece of it. We're all a piece of a puzzle, and leaders that are moving in that direction definitely resonate with us.
what's you said a couple things in there again.
Mhm.
It's really neat that when we talk to each other, so often we talk over each other. I think somebody said something about we don't listen with the intent to listen, we listen with the intent to speak.
Right.
And I'm my wife and I get together with couples every once in a while, and while I'm having a conversation with the husband, suddenly the wives will have a whole separate conversation. I mean, and it's all right here, and you're like, no, no, no.
Mhm.
Didn't what doesn't anything we have to say even resemble something you might be interested in hearing about?
Right.
Why is your conversation so much more important than you'll talk over your husband? Now, my wife won't do that, and I won't do that to her. Well,
Mhm.
sometimes we'll even say to the person, hold on, you know, they're talking. Can you hold on until they're done with this
There you
story?
go.
Because that's also true in business. If we're at a meeting, it's really up. I teach people how to run meetings at a business, which I find
Mhm.
phenomenal. But it's
Yeah.
like when people say, "Oh, I'm going for an hour meeting. It'll probably be 3 hours." I go, "Well, no, no.
No.
How can that be?" And they go, "It happens all the time." And I go, "What shouldn't? If you know how to run your business, you should always begin and end up." But we'll go into that some other time. But it's
Exactly.
also the same thing with if you're in charge of your meeting, you can't let people have side conversations. You either
No.
lose something of very valuable or you spread things out so that people don't, they're like, I don't know who to listen to. And you've lost the effectiveness of that conversation, which you just said can be
Mm.
so enlightening. If you say something and the person down at the other side says, "Oh, I never thought of that," versus you saying something, they're in a conversation all their own and they missed it. There's so
Mhm.
much we can do when we collaborate. Oh, my power just went out.
Oh, I saw
Fascinating. Yeah.
that. You're getting
But yeah, so
frustrated.
isn't that's what I struggle with, our communication, and that's what we when she says she coaches, when we coach people, one of
Right.
the things that's vital is our communication with you. We have to learn how to talk to you, simple things. Simple. I was a car salesman 30, 40 years ago, and one
Mhm.
of the things I learned was if the person coming in to buy a car says, "My wife loves the smell of leather." And I jump in and going, "That's cool, but let's show you that big
Mhm.
engine that's got that room, room, room." Well, he's talking about feeling and smelling, and I'm talking about emotion and excitement, right? The
Right.
sound of the engine. We're not going to connect. We're
Well,
we're not
yeah, I'm
going to
like this.
probably sell that. Yeah. And so it's little things that make such a huge difference in our communication, and that's why Tina is so successful. What she does, and I want to also go back to Tina started as a solopreneur
Right.
and grew it into a good sized business.
It's very nice. I love it. I love that ability to grow. Whenever we are left to our own devices, we're probably going to be our own worst enemy. So surrounding ourselves with a greater cohort and availing ourselves to growth in the feedback mechanism is awesome. So, sometimes my friends or, even my clients will say, okay, so I'm in a circle of people. And if I really give attention to everyone and want to hear their feedback, there will be those people that'll grandstand. There will be those people that'll just drone on. And if I give them so much attention, do I just am I reinforcing that bad habit? I said, this is a question that you can ask that person while you can feel they're droning on or that, whatever, they're grandstanding. This is you can interrupt them for a second and say, "What's the one thing you want us to really glean from your communication right now? So we're gonna listen to that one thing. What's that one point that you're making that you want us to all know right now?" And
That's a really good get to the point
get to the
comment.
point with a nice it's graceful,
Yeah, it's
right? I'm
nice. Yeah, because
listening to you.
I just said something to somebody the other day. I go, "Hey, is your long story short going to last much longer?" I think that was the wrong thing to
That's a
say.
little sarcastic. You said your primary language is sarcasm, so good
Okay,
job. You're fluent. It's awesome. Just saying, what's the one point that you want us to all hear right now in your communication so that we can take that away right now?
that's
And
cool.
and then to influence, put that tonality on the word right now. And that programs them to come into a place of succinctness and trust that they do have a point to make.
That's
And
right. Because some people really don't, do they?
they
Or it
think they
doesn't
do.
seem like it.
They think they do. But it helps them, and that's how we can guide some of our other, teammates or people that may seem as though either they're coming from ego and grandstanding, and they can lose respect in that regard as well, or they just aren't able to clearly make their point, right?
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
I'm full of these strategies, and that's what companies bring us in for is
How do they I'm gonna interrupt. How do they get in
yeah.
touch with you? How do they get hold of you? So if somebody's
Oh,
tuning in for a short time, they gotta go, we wanna
perfect.
make sure.
Thank you. Bonfirecoaching.com, pretty easy. Bonfire Coaching, and we are here to share the light of you in your world. And then there's a wonderful takeaway I'd like you to go dive into, and it's our mental challenge program. Uh, we all need to become more mentally tough. Mental toughness doesn't mean becoming jerks. Mental toughness means keeping our word to ourselves, understanding that we are aiming in a direction for our higher good, and not letting ourselves outside of that. We keep our word to ourselves and keep on that path. We need to become mentally tough. That means that we're not listening to our excuse mindset. We're not listening to our whining mindset. And we're not listening to that comparative mindset that wants to compare ourselves to other people and take our power away. So at bonfirecoaching.com/mental toughness, you will find our mental toughness challenge. And there's some videos and follow on emails and assessments that you can use to become more mentally tough and a better leader where you are right here, right now.
Okay, so make sure I got it. It's
Yeah,
bonfirecoaching.com
correct.
forward slash mental toughness.
Yes, sir.
And it's TOUGH. You're not getting funny on the
Yeah,
spelling.
no funny spelling. The English language is funny enough, so we don't need
Oh,
to
yeah.
change it.
And my wife says that when we drive by places. She goes, "No wonder people can't spell. Look at how they spell all the signs, right?"
Yeah, I had a client who filled out her intake form with, I don't even know what you call them, but those short, like LAMFO, LMAFO kind of thing, or like
Yeah.
BFFs, all those
Yeah.
short things, and then she also added in use of punctuation together that is supposed to signify an emoticon because our back-end systems don't allow emoticons, so she came up with that on the keyboard, and I swear over 80% of her communication was this new language that I was not aware of.
Oh
I
my
did my
gosh.
best. I did my best. And she's 20, and so in our first meeting, I said, "This is gonna be a lesson for me. You're going to interpret and tell me what you meant by all this stuff. I have no clue what this stuff is," and I did get schooled on it. And, that just brings up the point that we can if we make assumptions on what people are communicating without really diving into what do they mean by the communication, we're missing the communication. So oftentimes we can ask, we'll hear what they say, and then we can ask, tell me more. What do you mean by that? What else can I also know? in this because I'm curious about you and I want to know. Whenever we allow that curiosity, when we allow that connection, we get to grow as individuals, and so does the other.
Personal growth is one of the big challenges of today's cancel culture. Because I think even with you go back like to Archie Bunker and
Wow, you're
I'm
dating me
trying to
now. Yeah.
yeah Archie Bunker and some of the other shows, but
Mhm.
where they were so prejudicial, so biased, so
Mhm.
whatever you call them against
Judgmental.
yeah, judgmental for sure. But we laughed and we learned because we would look at each other in those days and go, "Wow, can you believe they said that? Can you believe they think that?" That type of thing. That the guy who was probably the forward thinker of the group on Archie Bunker was called Meathead. He was a son-in-law, and they
True.
called him Meathead 'cause, like he was supposed to be stupid, but he had all these forward
Philosophical.
thinking, yeah,
Mhm.
philosophical. And so, but we do that today when when we shut down conversations, we stifle what we can learn from each other. And that's so critical. If you don't know that I'm biased, if you don't know that I'm prejudiced, you can't help me get unprejudiced. But if I say something and you say, "Hey, hold on. Did you know you said this?" I go, "Well, yeah." And you go, "Did you know that said that to me?" And I'd go, "No." And they go, "Yeah, that's real, and
Mhm.
racial or what it might not be racial, but whatever it is." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way." And
Mhm.
you learn from that. If you don't have the opportunity to learn, all you do is build up biases and anger towards somebody saying you can't do any of this stuff. And you're like, I don't understand why. And that's one
Yeah.
of our biggest challenges, not being able to communicate effectively, also
Yeah.
because of the limitations of society.
True. I say that the root of all conflict is poor communication.
Oh, yeah.
So, getting curious about the other person, not making assumptions, and we make more assumptions than we'd even give ourselves consciousness towards. So,
Well, I'll tell you a quick one just so you know.
yeah, I'm
When I met
listening.
my wife, and we were actually married before it got cleared up, but I still am a child, all right? So when I drive the car, if I'm going around a corner, I might go, "Er," or if I put on the brakes, I'm like,
So
"Er,"
you're
right?
making sound effects while you're
I
driving?
I make sound
This
effects,
is sweet.
right? So so I've always done, I never thought about it. And then one day, my wife is driving and I was like, "Arr," and she went, stop that." I mean, she was just madder than heck at me. And I went, "Well, I don't understand what happened here." And she went,
Mhm.
"Why do you have to make fun of my driving?" And I'm like,
Oh.
"Oh, yeah, see, I didn't know that you thought I was
Yeah,
making fun of your driving. I'm just making turning sounds or braking
yeah.
sounds." And she was like, I said, "I do that in all my driving. Haven't you noticed that I do it to myself?" And she went, "I never thought about you doing it to yourself." And so when she started to hear me, because I do it without even thinking. So then
Yeah.
suddenly she was like, "I apologize to you because I assumed you were
Mhm.
making fun of me." And because she never asked me, she never said, "Hey, stop that," or "Don't do it," until it blew a fuse in her. And then
Yeah.
we got to come back together. And that's what you just said was, "Hey, you know what? We have to start understanding each other. We have to communicate more
If we wanna
effectively."
get along.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's right.
There has to be a big why. Some people don't.
Yeah.
Like, they may not have that big why or that big want to have better communications, and the truth is, let's aim for better communications with the people that matter in our life. We do not have to be the best communicators with everybody in the world. I mean, I still get pissed off with certain people. I just don't
Really?
take it out on them. I have awareness that, there I am going down that rail, that train's off the rail in that regard, and where's my peace? My mentor also said, and I've seen this also written in other places, that you can tell the size of someone's peace based on the size of the thing that irritates it. And so our inner peace is really a beautiful garden that we can grow and cultivate and make sure the weeds are not in there growing. And so our as anybody on the planet, I know that we all want more joy. We all want more fulfillment. We all want more positive meaning to who we are and what we do in the world and how we want to be regarded. That's every human on the planet. I have not met one yet that says, "No, I just want to be known as the asshole. I just want to be known as the one that pisses everybody off."
And now I will say I've met people who say that, but they
They
don't
don't
really
mean
mean it.
it. They
No,
don't
that's right.
mean it.
And
It's
there's a
a
huge difference between
deflection.
what they say to protect themselves.
It's a
You
deflection.
had a thing. You had lower mind and higher mind, and I've got a
Yeah.
first brain, second brain, which
There you
is
go.
yeah. The first brain is there to protect us
Mhm.
from the things that we think could hurt us. Like if somebody says, "Hey, you said this and it upset my feelings. And they're going, well, then get your feelings hurt. I don't care. Your first brain is there to protect you. Your second brain,
Yeah.
after you go home, might go, I probably could have handled that better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our higher mind, whenever we're slower to respond or more aware, then our best selves will show up. We've got to
Yeah,
give
that's
it
right.
space to show up,
So
right?
when you're looking for either now, and you mentioned that you also teach people how to be coaches.
Mhm,
Do you
I
look
do.
for more coaches or you look for more clients?
We have both arms. So the Bonfire Coaching is our coaching arm. So we offer career coaching, whether people are wanting to leap from one career to the next or they're looking for their next job, or career coaching where you're in a beautiful place and you want to become a more effective employee or leader and you have goals for yourself inside your career. Then we also have business coaching for business entrepreneurs, business owners that are growing their companies, growing their staff, their team, and themselves, right? We can't escape that. We're growing ourselves along with our business. And then the third is life coaching. And that is if you're up against a trauma or a challenge or an issue, or you want to be more organized, you want to actually hit your goals this year. So Bonfire Coaching has all three arms to it. And then we have the Bonfire Coaching Academy. And the Bonfire Coaching Academy is looking for great coaches. I feel like the Army wasn't looking for a few good
Oh yeah, you good
men,
men.
men
Well,
and
men.
women,
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, that's right. It used to be
We're
just
looking
men.
for,
Now it's
we're
got
looking
to
for
be
awesome
careful again, right?
humans. Awesome humans.
Awesome humans. I like
We
it.
want awesome humans. And those are people that want to become full-time coaches and make multi-six-figure incomes for yourself. And, in a coaching industry where we can look at it as competitive or saturated, which is both fallacies, those are not true, then it can be hard. And so we have in the Bonfire Coaching Academy ways to create immersions for you so you can perfect your skills and, price out your plans and be in a cohort of other coaches that are looking to improve and expand their effectiveness. So that's the Bonfire Coaching Academy. Once you're through our programs, then, whenever you reach a certain level of coach within the Bonfire Coaching Academy, you get considered for coaching our clients. And so we have a high quality assurance system inside to make sure that our clients are taken care of. And right now we have 5 active coaches that are coaching our clients, and we have another 5 in the wings that are in that program, that point-based system, growing. We've got a couple that are going to be graduating here soon. So
So if somebody wanted to be a coach, they could reach out to you.
they definitely could. They definitely could.
And what if I wanted to just, I said, I don't know if I need coaching or not. What should I do?
Life goes better with a coach. So, oftentimes we say, I've got it all going on. That's awesome. I have 2 coaches. So
Yeah.
I'm the founder of a coaching program. I have 2 coaches. Why?
That's what I love to ask coaches, as you run
Yeah.
across them. I go,
Mhm.
so who's your coach? And they go, well, I don't have one. I go,
Yeah.
how can
That's
that be? Right?
pain, pain,
All of us
pain
need,
will
I
be
mean,
right there.
I always say Michael Jordan had 5 coaches, right? All the
Exactly.
Tiger Woods had 5 coaches. I mean, I don't mean 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I mean like 5 at the same time.
Mhm.
And so because there's so much we don't know about certain areas. Right now
Right.
I've got 2 coaches, and one teaches me about my social media, the other one teaches me about how to run my backstage, whatever they call it,
Mhm.
so that I stay in contact with my people, because I'm not real good at fulfilling that. I'm real good at talking it, and then when it comes
Yeah.
time, I'm like, I forgot to send them that, and they're like, Steve, you got to connect these here and connect that there and do
Mhm.
this and do that. So yeah, we all need coaches, and sometimes it's on a personal level, sometimes it's on a business level,
Right.
sometimes it's on on a level that we just don't know some of the stuff that we're supposed to know, right?
Exactly. And at all different seasons of our life, we're going to have different coaches. I know that I've been very graced with some amazing mentors that have left huge impressions on my soul. Extremely grateful for them, and they've all helped me become who I am, and I'm always becoming. We're all each always becoming. So my 2 coaches, one is my business coach, helping me design this and implement and grow and challenge me to really go the extra mile. Sometimes I'll acquiesce and I'll come back to comfort. It's easy to do. And, he's like, "Nope, you're pushing forward." And then the other coach that I have is my financial growth coach. So I'm looking at my net worth and my finances, my financial vitality, and he helps steer me in the direction of what to do with the funds that I'm creating so that I'm always growing. And I've been recently purchasing crypto in different ways and NFTs and understanding that marketplace. So I'm
Well,
always
you're
growing.
miles ahead of me. I mean, I just look at NFTs. I go, wait a minute.
Yeah, they're
You
very
know,
interesting. We're creating NFTs, which is interesting. So, and in my business coaching, it's been really great because I can help my business clients move into accepting and understanding how to participate in the crypto market for their income and then for their business. And then also working with some artists and some other creatives that have great assets here in our physical realm and creating NFTs and metaverse real estate for them so that they can take their brand into that new world. And it is a whole new world, that we're
oh,
talking like Aladdin here, but it's a whole new world. And if you don't yet know about crypto and the metaverses, because there's multiple,
well,
I'd
you
like
see, I already
to.
pulled all my hair out trying to figure it
I
out.
did. It's not that complicated when you've got a coach leading the way, so
Yeah, I
it's
bet
all
that's
good.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to. My last was it last year, 2 years ago? I'll say your last year because I don't remember. Time
Mhm.
gets away in this funky time we're in right now.
It
But
is.
I invested in crypto, and then it's like, well,
Mhm.
what are you doing with that? Somebody asked me, what are you doing with that? I went, uh,
Don't know.
nothing. I bought some. Isn't that what I'm supposed to do? It's like me and stocks are the same way.
Mhm.
I bought some. How long
Yeah,
you want me to keep it? I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
you have to have somebody who's going to teach you. Otherwise, really, you're shooting in the dark, and that's what I've done so often. You just shoot in the dark because you don't know, and the people you ask don't know. Or I'm a nutball on
Mhm.
Americans do not talk about money, which is to the detriment of
It's
most
strange.
Americans.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, my mom and dad would always say, "Leave the room. The adults are going to talk about money." And you went, "Well, can I learn about it?" Nope, go away. Well, and
Mhm.
I think it was because they didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
So it's hard to try and teach somebody else if they were uncertain. So there's so
Mhm.
much now. I mean, I sat next to a young kid on the plane a couple years ago, real sharp college kid, junior in college, and I said something about his future, and I said, well, uh, are what about the rule of 72? We got time, a little money. He said, what's the rule of 72? Here's a
Mhm.
junior in college doing
Mhm.
this, didn't even know what the rule of 72 was, and I was
Right.
like, wow, you need to go home and look that up, right? Because
Mhm.
that's vital to your future. And so because Americans have such limited, it's really important that you get a coach. And I'm not talking about you don't want to get a what do they call it, a Merrill Lynch person to teach you about
No,
stocks.
no,
No,
not at all.
but you don't want a Merrill Lynch person or a stock person like that to teach you about stocks. You need somebody who understands stocks to help you with that. And it's vital that you understand there's a difference between people who sell those things and people who understand those
Right.
things. Because I mean,
One of the
just like
best
go ahead.
one of the best resources I've found for that is a trusted university. I'm grateful to have multiple degrees, and so I love my university professors, and we have some great universities here in the Houston area, including Rice University. So if you really wanna know, go find the person teaching economics and finances to the new cohorts of students coming into our world because they have to stay up on the latest and the greatest or they would not have a job. So find the heads of departments in very well-respected universities, and I guarantee they will take your phone call, they'll return your phone call, and they would love to share their knowledge with the people. And trust me, if you are that person that's gonna reach out and do that type of thing, you've got courage, you've got chutzpah, as they say, and they will respect that. So stay current and reach out to the people who actually know. And it may not be people working at banks because they only know what they're told to know. It won't be people at financial institutions because they're very limited in what they know
I
so that they can aim at the client that they're trying to land.
Tina, I appraised real estate for 21 years,
Mhm.
right? And for 21 years, I dealt with realtors every day while you did
Right.
that. And then it wasn't until I left the real estate industry that somebody said, "Steve, what are you investing in?" And I went, "What do you mean?" And they went, "Well, have you bought properties?" I was like,
Right.
"No, no." And they went, "Why not?" I went, "Am I supposed to be?" you know, because again, we all stay in our niches, right? And
Mhm.
that's when he started to go, "Oh, let me help you with that," right? And it was amazing to me that when I look back, none of the realtors, the experts in selling real estate,
Right.
really virtually none of them owned real estate. So when she says, "Hey,
Strange.
don't ask the people who are doing this," most of the realtors don't own real estate because they don't know they should, right?
Mhm.
Or they don't know enough about it to buy right. And then you got to end up. I ended up buying Robert Kiyosaki's first two books from way back when, just to
Mhm.
kind of catch up on how you do certain things. So it was really cool when you get the right mentors, the right
Mhm.
coaches, the right teachers. Teen Marie, that's the key. And I got about couple minutes left on this for us. And so, what great words of wisdom, and then tell us how to contact you again, please.
You're so sweet. We're in a container of a new year and it's beautiful. And if we're not conscious and definitely with the right intention, we will recreate the years prior again. And that's painful. So all of us have goals of our growth and our want for a better life. And I ask our clients, put your big rocks forward. What are your big rocks? What are those things that mean the most thing to you? Be it your family, your growth, your travel, making your business be a certain number. Put it on your calendar. Everything needs to be on your calendar now. Do not get high on hopium and just hope it's all going to work out
I
magically.
like
It
that.
doesn't.
Hopium. I like that.
Don't get high on hopium. Be precise. Own the space between your ears. It's called your mind. Your mind's much bigger than just your brain. However, enrich yourself with books like Think and Grow Rich, The Science of Being Rich, understanding, great authors that have come before us and really dive into what they have. We do book studies at Bonfire Coaching, and get yourself a coach that you can trust and open up your kimono to, because we're not being the best person we can be with our coach. We're being the true person that does not know with our coach. Let them see everything that keeps you up at night, that makes you worry, that creates anxiety, fear, uncertainty, because then that's your pathway to bring that certainty, that knowing into your consciousness. So then you become a better person, a better version of yourself. And trust me, if you're running a business, your entire team will feel it. If you're in a marriage or in a relationship, the people around you will feel it. And more than that, what's most important is you will feel it. Take our mental toughness challenge, because we need to all annihilate the excuse mindset, because it's a little bit of a bitch that just trips us all up. And so go to bonfirecoaching.com, mental toughness, and you'll see what that's about. Stay in touch. I'm always here. I'm more available than my clients even think. One of my clients last night texted me at 9:00 and said, "Hey, 911, running into some big problems here. When are you available?" He thought I'd say like Thursday or Friday this week. Said, "How about 9:00 in the morning?" And he said, "Wow." And the first thing they said when they got on the Zoom with me this morning, there's like, "This is like VIP service. We had no clue that you were going to be that available." I said, "I clear my schedule for the people that matter. And you matter to me, and I want to help you. I can't imagine you going another 4 days without an answer to what's crazy, all this pain in you. So be that for the people around you. Be that for the most important people in your life. And I guarantee your life will absolutely shift. You will feel fulfilled. You'll feel happy and joyful." And by the way, I'm Marie St Cyr, and I'm so grateful to be heading up this wonderful ship called Bonfire Coaching.
Cool. Bonfirecoaching.com.
There you
So
go.
reach out. And I thought it was interesting that she said, "Hey, he said I felt like a VIP." I don't think most of my clients either understand that the people who ask for the help the most are the ones who get it, right? Because
Amen.
you have clients that just disappear for a month at a time, and then they call you up and go, "Hey, I've been doing." You go, "Why don't you call?" They go, "Oh, I didn't know if I could." Well, you know what? The relationship that we establish says you should be able to call me almost any time. And if I can't talk to you now, I'll tell you when I can get with you. It's vital that you find the right person who will be willing to help you. And obviously, Tina Marie is that person. So I encourage you to reach out to bonfirecoaching.com, and then certainly go take that mental toughness challenge, which is bonfirecoaching.com mental toughness.
There you
So
go.
this has been, I'm Steve Sapato. You can reach me at steve@stevesapato.com. And we look forward to hearing you, seeing you. We want to hear your successes also, not just
Oh,
your challenges.
totally.
That's
Thank you,
right.
Steve. You're doing a great job and great work in our world, pulling people together for their greatness. I really appreciate all you do.
Thanks a lot. And next time you need us, we'll be here. So look for us on. Sure, I know what my title is called at Speaker Talks Podcast. So I look forward to seeing you and hearing from you again. God bless.